back! They're my property!
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2015 Mad Max film, Mad Max Fury Road. The film is co-written and directed by George Miller and it stars Tom Hardy as Max, Charlize Theron as Furiosa, we've got Nicholas Hoult, Zoe Kravitz and Hugh Keys-Byrne. Right, okay, this is the fourth Mad Max film in the Mad Max franchise, and this time we see Max at the beginning of the film wandering the wasteland as per usual, and he is captured by a group of war boys who are essentially the warriors and slaves of Immortan Joe, who is a warlord that rules with an iron fist. He has Furiosa, who is like his top lieutenant, I suppose. She drives a massive armoured truck to go to different towns to get gas and ammo, all this kind of stuff, with a big huge convoy. You know, he's all powerful Immortan Joe, and Max basically has been captured so that he can be a blood bag for one of the war boys, where they kind of plug you into a war boy and you kind of replenish their blood supplies. Furiosa decides that she's had enough of this life and she decides to take a detour because she has stolen all of Immortan Joe's brides, one of them being pregnant. Once Immortan Joe finds out, he sends every single one of his warriors and resources after them, which means that Max is strapped to the front of a vehicle as a blood bag. He soon gets free and he becomes an ally to Furiosa and the brides, and they all kind of basically fight together to survive, to keep the war boys and Immortan Joe off their backs. Right, what are my thoughts on Mad Max Fury Road? Well, it's bloody good. Let's just get that out of the way before I go into any more detail on this film. Now, I hadn't seen this for a few years, and I remember going to the cinema to watch this and just being awestruck. And it's strange how time can kind of cushion the blow or cushion the experience, because after after watching and reviewing all the Mad Max films recently on this channel, and many of you watching this will know I have done this, and if you don't, they are on the channel if you want to check them out. I kind of was starting to remember and have a real affection to those original Mel Gibson movies, and I started thinking there was this sense of I'm not sure I'm looking forward to seeing Fury Road because there's no Mel Gibson in it, etc, etc. And then I watched it and I felt stupid, if I'm not going to think, well, why was I not looking forward to watching this? It's a stunning action film. It's one of the most relentless, adrenaline-fueled, non-stop action films, pure action, that I think I've ever seen. And it just kind of blew my mind rewatching this film. Now, there's a debate to be had in regards to Tom Hardy's casting as Max. Is he as good as Mel Gibson? Simple answer, no. And that's not because I don't think Tom Hardy does a bad job in any way, shape or form. I think he gives a very feral and raw performance, and you do buy him for the most part as Max, but there's something about Mel Gibson's performance as Max, especially in the second Mad Max film and the third one to a large degree. You know, especially when you watch all three of them films, you're kind of on a journey with that character, and this version of Max that Tom Hardy gives feels like he doesn't belong in any of those other movies that we've seen. So it's an interpretation of Max that Tom Hardy gives, and it's a more physical performance than anything, I would say, and it's a very, very strong physical performance. He doesn't say a lot, and not that Mel Gibson said a lot in his Mad Max films either. But yeah, I enjoyed his performance, but he's no Mel Gibson, is what I'm trying to say. And then there's also a debate to be had around Charlize Theron. Is she really the main character in this film? Now, we all know that Furiosa is coming out this year. The follow up to this, if you like, it's a prequel and focuses on Furiosa when she was younger, and it's Anya Taylor-Joy playing her. And I would say no. I think they both kind of share the credits here, both Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron. I think it's kind of a dual movie, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think they both contribute to this film, and it's almost like they're a team in this film, and they wouldn't have succeeded without each other. And I think that is a really, really interesting part of the film. And I think there's maybe some detractors out there don't like the fact that she gets a lot of this screen time, and she gets a lot of she gets a lot to do in this film. I think it's a fantastic performance, a very committed performance by Charlize Theron, and we know that there were issues on set between Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron. I think they've kind of made up since, but I think there was a lot of falling out, but I'm guessing that had a lot to do with the intensity of the shoot, because Tom Hardy, even after, I think it was at Cannes when this was shown, he openly apologised to George Miller on the stage. George Miller was there next to him. He apologised to him. He says, because I know I was difficult on set. It's because he couldn't see George Miller's vision. All he could feel was basically this relentless, the pain and the stunts and this chaos that's going on around him, and a very linear story at the core of it, because that's what it is. It's a linear story, very linear in fact, and he couldn't see the quality until he saw the final product, and it blew not only Tom Hardy away, as everybody else it blew away. So it probably was a very, very intense set, but visually it is just on another level, and the level of stunts and creativity involved in those stunts, it beggars belief, really. I mean, I think the only criticism I've got of this film, and it's not even a criticism, it's more of an observation really, is if you look at the other Mad Max films, and I'm not sure where this version of Max fits in the timeline of the other Mad Maxes. I'm sure there's information out there that tells you where it is on the timeline. But there's an abundance of ammunition in this film. There's people firing automatic weapons, there's literally, countless handguns, machine guns, shotguns, you name it, being used in this film. And in all the other Mad Max films, there was a real shortage of ammo. If Mad Max had, 1 or 2 shotgun shells in Mad Max 2 and Mad Max 3, sort of especially Mad Max 2, he was doing well. I mean, Mad Max 3, he when he's putting all them guns on the top when he's going into Bartertown, that's quite an amusing scene. So he's obviously been collecting them over years. But there's just nice shiny automatic weapons and handguns in this film, and that's my only real criticism stroke observation. Most of the effects were practical, most of the stunts were practical. Very, very, I mean, there's so much to look at on the screen. You don't know where to put your eyes. There's so much going on, and it's just edge of the seat, adrenaline fueled fun when you're watching it. And essentially, all it is a chase movie. For 90% of this film, that's what you get. You get Charlize Theron and Max in this truck being chased by the war boys in the Mountain Joe. And occasionally, they'll get away for a short breather, and they'll bit of character development, bit of chatting. 5 minutes later, back on it, more death, destruction, and chaos ensues. So imagine the scene at the end of Mad Max 2 when Max is driving that tanker and he's being descended upon by Humongous and all the others. Imagine that, but multiply it by 10, and that's what you get in here in Mad Max Fury Road. It really is a Fury Road, and it is just a joy to behold. And I'm glad I reminded myself how good this film was, because I was stupidly in my head convincing myself that it's probably not really as good as the others when you analyse it. And it feels like it fits in the Mad Max world. but it also feels like it's, it's taken a different road. So it's it's still, the Mad Max world, but it's kind of just going down a little bit of a different path now. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, with like a franchise looking to kind of reinvent itself a little bit. And that's what this does. It felt fresh, it felt new, it felt exciting, and I love that because when we all knew that Mad Max was coming back, I mean, I initially was stupidly excited because I thought Mel Gibson was coming back, and I thought yes, but it wasn't to be, and we all know why. I mean, at the time, Mel Gibson was about as popular as a fart in a spacesuit in Hollywood. He'd been blacklisted, really. And then when I found out Tom Hardy was being cast, I was a bit like, really? And apparently Tom Hardy as well, he had lunch with Mel Gibson to kind of get his blessing to take the role, which he got. And Mel Gibson did give his support to this film. He was at the Cannes premiere and sat next to George Miller, apparently, and loved the movie. So it's just, I could really go on and talk about this film for all day, really. It's just endlessly enjoyable. A true action masterpiece. I'm looking forward to checking out Furiosa. I know there's a little bit of muttering and complaining that it doesn't look as practical in regards to this. It looks like there's a lot of effects in there. I'm definitely going to watch it, see how it fares up, see if it, is a worthy follow-up to this. But let's be honest, you and I, we all want another Mad Max film. Will Tom Hardy return? Fingers crossed he will. I tell you what would be really cool, actually, is if Tom Hardy returns as Max, and maybe if they cast Mel Gibson as the villain and kind of, put a mask on him and stuff. And speaking of as well, before I go, I just want to mention as well, just for those of you who didn't know, the guy that played Immortan Joe, Hugh Keys-Byrne, played Toe Cutter in the original, which I thought was a wonderful way, to kind of get him into the franchise, because he was great in the first Mad Max, and he's you could argue, even better as Immortan Joe. A real memorable and sinister villain in this film. So yeah, guys, that's the end, certainly, for the time being, of my Mad Max reviews. I will obviously be reviewing Furiosa when it comes out later this year. I hope you've enjoyed checking out my Mad Max reviews. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. I'm actually thinking of reviewing some of the X-Men films now. I'm not sure which ones or what sequence to do them in. I'm probably going to do like X-Men, X-Men 2, and then the third X-Men, and then see where it kind of leads me. But I'm certainly going to start with them. But if you've got any suggestions, any franchises that you want me to review, horror, action, sci-fi, pop them in the comments, and I will, of course, when I can, try and get around to reviewing them. So thanks very much for joining me, guys. I'll be back with more reviews and content very, very soon.